I'm your host, OsakaJack. Please sit back and relax as we talk to this week's guest brony. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Into the Spotlight. This is your host, OsakaJack. And with me today, I have someone that you might recognize from her deviant art or live streams. This is Miss SophieCabra. Hello. How are you today?
I'm doing all right. How are you?
I'm doing just fine, thank you. So I have to ask real fast, SophieCabra, that's not your real name, is it?
No. My real name is Spain Fisher. SophieCabra is an online handle. So
what was the
Cabra?
Oh, okay.
Cabra is actually goat in Spanish. So my first online character was this cute little goat. So.
Okay. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so it comes from Sophie Wisdom Goat.
Yes.
The Wisdom Goat. I like that. That would totally work alongside Iron Will's goats.
Yes. The goat designs from the show kind of creep me out, but.
Well, I think they have similar eyes to an actual goat, and that it's more
exactly.
of a vertical slit and
mm-hmm.
I can see that'd be easy to freak somebody out. Well, for anybody who doesn't know you, why don't you talk a little bit about what you do?
Well, I'm basically an artist in the Brony fandom. I mostly am known for my free sketch giveaways on Twitter that I do every once in a while. And
I swear I'm going to win someday. I will.
On average, I have about 150 to 200 people that guess numbers every time.
Wow.
So I keep the pools relatively small. So hopefully, yes, keep trying.
So I do have to ask, do you specifically choose a number beforehand, or do you just kind of, this guy looks cool, I'll take him?
Oh, no, I definitely choose a number. I actually, it's really hard because sometimes people will guess the same number immediately, and I have to do it by the second. So thankfully, my Twitter application will tell me who guessed first. And I always feel bad because the other person, is always sad about it. But
yeah.
It's a fun way. It's definitely something that I do to give back to the Brony fandom. I know lots of people either say they can't draw, which everyone can draw if they put enough effort and practice into it and know the steps of learning how to draw.
That's true.
But I know lots of people can't, or they can't afford to commission someone. So it's kind of my way to give back to those people.
That's very kind of you. Yeah. So if you guys are not following her on Twitter, you should do so right now. And turn on your notifications, because when she announces a contest, you've got about, what's the average length before somebody guesses the number?
It varies. I've had the first person that replied to me, guess the right number. I've had to take 3 waves of guesses before someone got it. So I think the shortest time has been about 10 seconds. The longest time has been about an hour and a half. So it's definitely faster now that I have more people that guess.
Right.
So usually I would say now it averages in the first 5 minutes of the contest.
Mm-hmm. And I can tell anybody who follows me, usually the contests start about 10 minutes after I go to bed.
Yes. So when you tweet that you're going to bed, everyone just pay attention.
Yes, exactly. Actually, if you're following me, you should start paying attention when I say, okay, actually bed this time. Because first one is just, I'm heading to bed, but I'm still checking Twitter, and then...
Yeah, I never believe you that first time. So.
No, nobody does. And I don't believe myself because I know myself. I'm going to bed. Yeah, right. No, really. Okay, so art is your main forte with Bronyism.
Mm-hmm.
Which character or scene do you like drawing the most? Or do you like creating the most?
That's tough. As far as drawing goes, I definitely love drawing Luna. I think her design is just amazing. She's actually one of the hardest for me to draw. I find her very challenging, which for me personally, I really, revel in that kind of artist atmosphere. I like having a challenge.
Sure.
I think actually Applejack is one of my favorite to draw, though. She comes the easiest to me for some reason. So I always enjoy her. And if you notice, my comics usually have Applejack in them, if I can help it.
Applejack is a great straight man for most comedic situations.
Yes, really exactly. Is. So she's she's that straight-laced character. So I enjoy drawing that. But yeah, I'd say that my favorite situations to draw are definitely just comics that I make up in my head. So.
Yeah, and if you guys don't know, these comics are really funny. I really enjoy reading them. I I have I won't say I have no artistic ability, but my ability is very low.
You just have to practice.
And
So
I
you do.
did. I practiced for a full month, and now it's gotten to where you can recognize the character.
Excellent.
Yeah, yeah, and I'm happy about that. But no, I'm astounded by the level of art in the community. But just part of me, I still love the newspaper comics and the 4-panel comics, and I really like it when somebody can put humor into it, which you do really well with the comics. I really
Oh,
like that.
thank you.
Oh,
I'm actually a professional cartoonist, so I
okay.
don't do it actively newspaper styles anymore. I
Right.
actually did opinion cartoons for about 5 years
Oh,
um,
okay.
before I moved on to other things because
Right.
it doesn't pay well, but I did enjoy it.
Yeah, it's a shame that it's hard to make a living for cartoonists anymore.
Yeah, newspaper cartoons are pretty much dead. If you don't already have a cartoon syndicated for newspaper, you're not getting one. I don't even know if the major companies like United or King Features even take submissions anymore.
Somewhat. If anybody knows PvP, I know that Scott Kurtz quite often he'll go into a very passionate rant about newspaper comics.
Oh yeah, well,
Yeah.
if you're gonna do anything, it's gonna be online content. I know those companies have started to do that, so I prefer just my pony comics on my DeviantArt. So
I think it is interesting that you mentioned Luna because several times you'll have a live stream, which will have you you guys can go and watch her create these things, which the speed you do it is just phenomenal.
oh yeah, I get those comments a lot. I didn't ever really think I was that fast, but I guess I am. I don't know.
No, if I mean, usually schedule doesn't work so well for me, but if I get a chance to come in, I can watch this great picture being done, and then I like switch to email for 2.5 minutes, and I come back, and it's something else. I'm like, what happened?
Yeah, I learned speed. I did storyboards for a while, mostly in pitches for new cartoon shows, and you have to be fast because you have deadlines. They will come in and they'll be like, "We need three scenes of boards in about an hour." So
Oh my
it gets kind of crazy once their script changes or whatever. So
Right.
you have to learn to draw fast, and I think that's helped me with that.
So you learned under pressure. Do you find that drawing at this point relaxes you?
I do. I
Okay.
doodle when I'm stressed or if I'm bored. It kind of helps. I listen better when I doodle. If I have a scrap of paper, I will draw on it, and it helps me relax enough. And I used to do this in school, and lots of teachers would yell at me for it. All my margins of my notes and even like my homework would have little doodles in them, and most teachers would take off points or they'd get me in trouble for it. And they didn't understand that that was a tool that I used to help myself listen and absorb whatever they were lecturing about. There was one teacher, and I'm horrific at science. I have no aptitude for science or math or anything. I had one science teacher who got that. She actually, she understood, and she would encourage me. And one time I remember I got a test back and I got a good grade on it, but it said, "See me after class." And I'm like, oh God, does she think I cheated? This is awful. So I go up to her after class and she's like, "Spain, I want to talk to you about your test." And I'm like, okay. And she's like, "I noticed, it's like, a 3-page test, right?" I'm like, "Yeah." And she's like, "There were no doodles on any of the pages." And I was upset. I love seeing your doodles and they weren't on there. And I was like, it was amazing. But she got it, and I actually did really well in her class because she got
Great.
that. So,
That's great. Yeah, as a teacher, I know that it's hard to adapt to every student, but
yeah, I can imagine.
yeah, there are students who learn better in different ways, and that's definitely one of them, doodling. But I do remember specifically a recent live stream. You were trying to do Luna, and I was only there for a half hour, maybe. I think we saw 6 different versions.
Yeah, you saw a very small amount of versions of Luna that I drew that night, and the next day,
Oh
and
my
then
gosh.
earlier today.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I get in fits sometimes. It's like anything else when you get tired and you don't want to do your job or, something's distracting you, you have
Right.
outside problems. Art is like any other thing in which sometimes you can't do it or you're not happy with it. Sometimes you can't play your video game well and sometimes I can't draw Luna, so.
Yeah, and forcing it's probably the worst thing to do.
Yeah, sometimes I need to plow through, especially if
Right.
it's an assignment or a commission you
Mhm.
have to plow through, like any other job, maybe not video games, but at your job, you need
Right.
to do it. You have to get it done.
Yep.
So,
Yep. Get it done.
thankfully, most commissioners are pretty cool with me being like, look, give me another couple days. But
Hmm. Hmm.
thankfully, these days, those times are few and far between. Um, I've been distracted because I'm going on a big trip tomorrow, so
Oh, goodness.
I've
Timing
been
worked out
stressed.
pretty well then.
Yes.
Can you tell us where you're going, or is that secret? We shouldn't know.
No. I'm going up to Denver, Colorado. They're having a big American beer fest, so I have some friends that live over there, and I'm gonna be going there. They're actually artists as well, so I'm going a couple days early so I can, community art with them.
Hmm.
So that'll be fun.
Wow, excellent. That's great. Okay, so anybody in Denver, get ready for something coming in. One of the things that you're doing a lot now on DeviantArt, and I guess for the live stream, is the portrait series for the
Yes.
characters.
Hmm.
This is just almost like a baseball card for the ponies, I guess.
Yes.
We could put stats on the back.
Good. Yeah.
2 Sonic Rainbooms known.
Yeah. No, I've been doing those. I've been taking suggestions, and I've held a poll on my DeviantArt about what characters people want to see the most. I do have a couple projects that I'm going to be using these for. I'll give your listeners a slight sneak peek for one of them, and
Oh,
in which
listen up, turn on your recorders.
at the next cons that I'm going to, and I will be selling at Pony Cons next year, because as much as I like to go to have fun, money. I'm an artist. I have to make money via art somehow.
It's your bread and butter, absolutely.
Yeah, but cards is actually one of the things I'm looking into getting done, which would be cool. But there will also be open edition prints that will be matted and ready to hang. So if you like them, look for them at cons in the next upcoming year.
Excellent. Well,
Yeah.
speaking on cons, you and I had a connection for the Everfree Northwest.
Ah, yes.
Can you tell people about that? What was the connection?
Well, we actually, you're talking about the poster, of course.
Yes, I am.
Okay. I did do a poster, which I was very happy with the outcome. It's one of my favorite pieces that I've done, pony-wise.
It's beautiful. It really is just stunning.
But yeah, I don't think I had talked to you before you had gotten that done, correct? Maybe on Twitter for my contests, but
Yeah, I think that was it. Just Twitter contests.
yeah. So that's actually where I got to know you, and I got to do this awesome poster. And
Yeah, I contacted Sophia. I said I want to make something as a gift for Mandapony and Michelle Krieber and Acoustic Brony. And so we threw back ideas for a little bit, and she put out this amazing Pony Stock 12 poster that has a wailing apple bloom and Acoustic Brony OC and Mandapony on either side, just jamming out in front of a huge crowd.
oh yeah, it was really cool because I'd never really gotten to do like a band poster before, so I got to do a lot of research on posters and fonts that I should use. It was a lot of fun. I always like that kind of stuff. And then actually I got to go on stage for Pony Stock, so that was fun too.
You did? Oh my gosh, I must have missed that one. When was that?
It was like right at the end, and a ton of people were on the stage. So
Okay.
it was very late at night, and one of my friends actually, she was in the bar downstairs, and she's also a graphic novelist, such like as myself.
Okay.
And Will Anderson came up, and he's like, "Oh, sorry, I overheard you. What do you like? Let's talk about your project. That sounds really cool."
Uh-huh.
So she and I started talking to Will Anderson, and Will Anderson does the music for the show, not the musical like singing
Right,
music,
not the
but
actual
all
songs, but the
ambient
score.
music.
The score.
Yes, the score. So he was like, "Well, like you guys are cool. Let's go upstairs and go see, Michelle Creever, and they're doing the pony stock thing. Let's go listen. So we go up there, and Will like dragged us on stage. It was a lot of fun.
Ah, awesome.
Mm-hmm.
That's great. Yeah, but if you guys haven't seen the poster, it's really cool. Do check it out. It's the pony stock Apple Bloom one. It's definitely worth the money that I put in. And something else I would like to mention, if we can talk about it. I know that at BronyCon, you were Derpy.
Yes.
And those, would we call them suits or cosplay outfits? Or I'm not sure the exact terminology that you prefer for those.
Well, fursuits is a term that, well, obviously, like, that's what the furry fandom calls them.
Right.
I call them mascot costumes typically.
Okay.
Because when I think of a fursuit, I think of someone's personal character, and when I think of like a cosplay or a mascot, it's kind of an established character.
Right.
So, but you can call them whatever. I'm not offended by, any ties to the furry fandom. I mean, it's where I learned how to make those costumes, and I do those costumes for a living partially now. So.
Yeah, and so I'm sorry, I'd like to talk. So those things, I mean, it looks like a pony. It looks like a pony has come and visited. Is it not insanely hot inside?
It is hot.
Okay,
it is something that I personally, at least I am used to, because I've been making these things for years. And when you make them, you need to, like, I occasionally would make myself costumes to wear and promote. So I'm used to it. But yes, I would assume that if someone had never worn one before, they would find it perhaps not uncomfortable, but definitely like getting, it would take some getting used to. They're hot. I do make sure that there are lots of like little vents, like right around the ears. There's a little vent.
Yeah.
The mouth is open, so you breathe freely fresh air.
Okay.
And then the eyes.
I'm sure that helps a lot.
Yes.
Sure.
Yes. The eyes, the iris, and the pupil are a mesh that allow airflow in and out of the head.
Okay.
It's not something you're going to overheat in unless you're just being not so smart with it. So.
Well, I just mentioned that specifically because I remember seeing. I think the first. I wasn't at BronyCon. I was unable to go, but I was watching on live stream, and when the fire happened, the fire in the fluorescent lights that caused the entire building to evacuate, I think you had, well, not maybe an interview, but you at least appeared in front of the EQI people who were doing crowd interviews, and everybody was like sweltering, it looked like, in the heat. And I saw somebody in a full derpy mascot outfit, and oh my god, that person must be dying.
It did get a little hot, especially going outside. But that's not too bad. It's it's hot. I wouldn't say that it's not hot. I do have to when I sell the costumes, I do have to explain to people that it is something that requires you drinking water beforehand and after,
Which honestly is a good idea regardless. But how long does it take to make one of those from just nothing until full fruition?
It depends on how much time I'm putting into it. If I put in a solid like 8 to 10 hours a day, it would take me probably about 5 or 6 days. It is not my full-time job, so it actually usually takes me about a month or two to complete one, because I can only put in a couple hours like every other day or so. But if I were to sit there and work on it nonstop, it would only take about a week.
Only 60 hours straight.
Yeah.
We can do it 3 days if we don't sleep. Let's go. That is, I mean, was it your pattern for that? I mean, the head looks spot on for the show. Did you?
Yes. I did design them. At the time I made Rainbow Dash, which is the first one I made, no one else had made a pony costume. So I didn't have anywhere to look or any place to get inspiration. So I really just took the shapes from the show, the leg shape and the head shape, and I tried to recreate it as much as possible. I do hand carve everything, so every time they are like, a little different, and I do improve and everything. They're not a mold.
Right. Is it a foam carving or?
Yes, it is all. It's actually I go to the special place, and it's nice that I live in Florida. I
Mhm.
use boat upholstery foam, which is incredibly soft and incredibly durable.
Oh, okay, okay.
And as far as like when you sweat and everything,
Mm,
it's water resistant. So it in
that's
other kinds
wow.
of foam,
Mhm.
sweat can like soak into it, and
Right, right.
if you don't properly clean it, foam can get moldy after a while. But boat
Yeah.
upholstery foam does not do that. So
Oh, what a great idea.
yeah,
Genius.
though I do clean mine, obviously.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's better to clean, but I'm sure it makes it easier if it's water resistant.
Yes, exactly.
That's awesome. That's amazing. So, BronyCon, you were derpy, and at Everfree Northwest, it was Twilight and Shining Armor.
Yes,
And
I was
obviously, you
Twilight.
were not both.
No, I was Twilight, and my roommate, she's also a Brony. She was Shining Armor. She was also Doctor Who's at BronyCon.
Okay, okay, all right.
So,
So, at this point, when you are thinking of it, do you look for pairs?
it is fun. I will admit, it's fun to do
Okay.
pairs. Um, I am probably not. I'm probably going to sell off my Twilight here soon. I personally just like having new characters. I'm um, kind of like that. But I'm thinking of letting her keep Shining Armor, and then I might make a Cadence next year. I'm not sure.
Ah, okay, that would be a good idea. And
Hmm.
for anyone who hasn't seen on the Everfree, I mean, as usual, these are spot-on characters, and the horns glow.
Yes.
That that was so cool. So
Thanks.
cool looking at that.
Yeah, it's not that hard. There's an LED in there that I set up. So.
And admittedly, in Canterlot Gardens recently, Tara Strong did an amazing Twilight cosplay.
Ah, yes, I saw that.
hmm But I don't know, side by side with yours, I think yours is more show accurate.
Maybe a little bit. Got the fur thing going on.
Right, right. Which which future cons are you planning on attending or would like to attend?
Well,
Not
the
necessarily
next.
Pony, but I know you mentioned there's another one in November you always go to.
Yeah, that's not a BronyCon. There is, I think, a PonyCon in November, which is Equestria LA, which
Yes.
looks like a lot of fun, but sadly, I just too many cons, and I
Yeah.
can't afford to go to all of them, which is why I'm selling next year at cons, so I can't afford to go to more. But next year, BronyCon is obviously on the table. I'm actually they ever since I won their mascot contest,
Ah, yes,
I'm at
that's right.
I'm on their design staff now, so
Oh,
I
excellent.
yes, so I'm doing all their design work with the help of a few other artists and working on that. So I'll definitely be at BronyCon. I cannot sadly go to Equestria Everfree next year.
Oh, that's the only one I
Yeah,
could go to. Oh,
yeah, it conflicts with another convention that
okay.
is actually the convention that my graphic novel Caterwaul is debuting at. So I
Ah,
absolutely cannot miss the other one.
mhm.
So it's the exact same weekend, and it's
Ah,
very sad because I enjoyed Everfree so much.
yeah, that is a shame.
And then I think there's a con here in Florida that's I'm not sure when it is, but I'll probably be going to that one. And then there's another con that they're planning for in Texas that they've asked me to be on staff for, so I'll probably go to that
Excellent.
one. Yeah.
Excellent. Have you ever been asked to do a panel or anything like
Uh, I actually at this if the one that they're planning
that?
for this it's in Dallas, I believe, or around there. They're asking me to do like cosplay panels and some art panels, which
Oh, okay.
so if I don't have too many details, they're just now starting to plan it because I
Right.
think it's next November.
Okay.
So it's in over a year. So
Right,
I'm
right.
not sure of any details on that one. But I'm interested. Like I think it'll be important for the Brony fandom to really reach to community
Mhm.
people to do their panels
Yeah.
because there are going to be cons where these voice actors and artists and everyone who works on the show can't make it, and I
Absolutely.
think it'll be important to already have an established um, you know track of panels dealing with art and cosplay and writing and community-based things because
Yeah.
eventually the community will have to feed itself. Tara Strong's not going to be able to come to every single convention.
Well, yeah.
Hmm.
I think, gosh, and I'm sure I'm going to get hounded for incorrectly stating this, but I know that when Canterlot Gardens was going on, I know of at least one or two other cons that were happening at the same time, and they were smaller cons, but that doesn't make them any less. It just, I don't know. Just from my personal experience, I think a smaller con is a wonderful thing as long as they don't try to pretend they're a huge con.
Oh, exactly. And I love it when large cons act like small cons. My best example is Dragon Con, which is upwards of about 40 to 50,000 people. But it has the feel of a...
I mean, let's be honest,
it's
that's
in Atlanta.
The population of a small city right there.
Yeah. It's in downtown Atlanta. They don't do a convention center. They do hotels. And really, it just has this small con feel that I think... That's the difference between that and, like, say, Comic-Con, San Diego Comic-Con, which pulls in 100,000 people, and it feels like 100,000 people because you go to these cons and it's all about the corporations, the movies that are coming out, the games that are coming out, rather than Dragon Con, which is all fan-based stuff. So I think a balance of those two is really important for the larger pony cons to obtain.
Sure. Well, yeah, I think it's... something to each con has their own strong and negative points, and I think it's a good thing when they can reach out to people in the community, and I think it's wonderful when they can assist, like you're doing with the Dallas one that you mentioned.
I'm excited to give back a little, and these pony cons are fun. They're just a ton of fun. I've been going to cons for years, and I really have just enjoyed my experience at both BronyCon and Everfree so far, and I'm excited to go to more if I can afford it, and if I can go, then I will definitely go to as many as I can. So.
Yeah, well, and you touched on it just a little bit, but I think we need to mention that the BronyCon mascots, they had voting recently on which mascots will be ones, and who won it? You did.
Yes, I designed 3 mascots, which is Main Event, Hoofbeats, and Blank Canvas, and people seem to like them. My philosophy behind the 3 was, they're the 3 parts of a convention, at least the major parts, which is Main Event, like the panels and the stars and the guests who are there, and then you have Blank Canvas, who she's an artist and a writer, so she's the dealers and the art side and the art show and the charity art show and everything, and then you have Hoofbeats, which is the music and the dances. So I tried to I tried to think of one pony that could encompass all of that, and I think, to be fair, I think Main Event could do that in theory, but you need all 3 of them, and I think it's fun because on signs for BronyCon, they can be interacting with each other, or on t-shirts they can be interacting with each other, and I think it's a really neat idea. I know a lot of cons have one singular mascot, but I just thought it'd be fun to have several. So everyone seemed to like the idea and respond well to it, and I'm very happy that the Brony fandom seemed to agree with me. So the other contestants were amazing, though. There were so many cute ponies, and I know that it was a close race. So
well, that's good. That shows the level of interaction. And I know some of the other entries were multiple ponies as well.
Yes.
So I guess that's where things are trending now, and that's great. That's great. Because more ponies means more possible swag. Woo!
Yes, exactly.
Well, and again, you touched on it, but I think we should talk about your Caterwaul.
Oh, yes. Caterwaul is it's a graphic novel. It's youth literature based, but really I'm making it because I love it. So honestly, if anyone, I think it's all ages. It is a graphic novel that is being published by Sophie Press, which is a smaller publishing company that I approached with the idea last year, and they really liked it. So I'm working on that now, and it's going to be out in summer of next year, and they'll have pre-orders and everything. So I'll definitely be tweeting about it and posting about it on my DeviantArt. You can already see the characters and some of the pages for the preview comic on my DeviantArt.
Yeah. The main character seems to be a black tabby, or...
Yeah, he's a black and white tuxedo.
Okay.
So he's loosely based on one of my childhood cats, which...
Oh, cute.
I dearly miss, but I've actually wrote Caterwaul when I was about 15 or so. I was in junior high.
Okay.
And it has changed a lot, and it's definitely not some 15-year-old story anymore. But it is something that I have slowly developed over the years, and I had not touched in the last couple of years. I've been doing other projects, and, it kind of got thrown by the wayside. And, this small publisher was doing a pitch night, in which they're like, come pitch your ideas. And I was like, oh, you know what? I'm just going to pitch it and see if anyone would ever be interested in this. And I thought, maybe they'd be like, oh, yeah, that sounds great. Well, why don't you, if you ever actually end up drawing it and completing it, send it in. But instead, they were like, all right, we want to publish it next year. And I'm like,
wow.
What? Immediately, they were like, all right, well, email us after the convention, because that's where the pitch night was. And they're like, and we'll get the ball rolling. And so that's how it came into play. And
that's great.
I'm very excited.
And the title is going to be just Caterwaul, or is there a subtitle?
It is. I have not decided on subtitles yet.
Okay.
It's the working title is just Caterwaul.
Okay.
Which is a play on, the sound caterwaul. Only it's a
Cats.
wall. Like, yes, it's cats, and their castle is called Caterwaul. So
okay.
I loved Redwall when I was a kid.
Okay.
I absolutely loved it, and this is kind of my nod to Redwall.
All right.
So, which is an excellent children's book series.
Okay.
Really.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So everybody be on the lookout for that next summer, Caterwaul.
Yes, it's at caterwaul.com. So.
Oh, okay.
I have links in my DA, I believe.
And on your DA, there's lots of things. You do a lot of the free sketches based on Twitter. Well, I don't know if you can mention it or don't want a flood, but are commissions something you're open to usually?
I do open for commissions occasionally. I usually open in small little windows so that I don't overbook myself. I've always been very cautious not to take more commissions than I can essentially chew. And I will usually open up for no more than 5. And usually they fill up fast. So anyone is free to note me about a commission. I will definitely quote people on how much it would be.
Right.
But usually I'm not open. And I will be open in about a week and a half, 2 weeks after my trip. Because I'm pretty sure I'll have to recover financially from my trip.
Right.
So I will probably be open for commissions. And I think one of the things I'm looking forward to is like the portraits that I'm doing. I would love to do people's OCs or even other show characters if they would really want them. Which, is a win-win for me, especially if it's a show character, because, then I can sell prints of it. And, it's so. As a freelance artist, you always kind of have to be ahead of the curve as far as, different things to merchandise. And
absolutely, yeah.
So
you could even, it's possible to combine it with the comics feel. Just have an entire joke set up, except for the punchline, which has a blank space for somebody's OC.
Oh yeah, I could totally. I could totally auction off like OC spots in comics.
That's there you go.
So
you could be a. You could be a far in the background character for $5. We can feature. You can be seen in the foreground but not speaking for a little bit more, and you go full on commission, and you'll have a speaking role. So to speak.
I've actually debated on. Some people have inquired about me just commissioning comics. Like someone's like, "Oh, I have this great comic idea," but I think the problem with that is that comics for me are very personal in a way that I know the setup and when the punchline should come, and it's really hard to comic out another person's idea. I did get practice with that in storyboarding, but
Well, yeah, of course. It's much easier to do your own ideas. And I think I asked you about this at one point in the live stream, but and I thought it was great how I got a lot of different answers from you and the other people in there. When you're working on a picture, how much of the finished picture do you see in your mind before you start?
I actually have very little idea. It depends on what I'm doing. If I'm doing a comic, I've already written the comic, and then I know. I usually thumbnail it out, and then I draw it.
Right.
But as far as just
as it were.
yes, I storyboard them. That's how my brain works, I guess, nowadays. But when I draw like just a rainbow dash, I will just start sketching, and I really just let the flow of my hand take over. I actually when people ask me, those kind of tie in, when people ask me, oh, how did you learn to draw, or how should I start drawing, I think it's important not to just start drawing Rainbow Dash. You can definitely do that. It's fun and it's a good loose exercise because it's something you want to draw. But there are lots of different techniques to learning how to draw, and really you need to learn how to draw, the spoon sitting on your table before you can try to draw some masterpiece. Like, you really have to start with the basics. Still lives are really important. If I was starting to draw right now, what I would do is bring out a pad of paper and I would look at something on my desk and I would draw it. And eventually you need to work up to blind contours, which is where you only look at the object you're drawing and not at the paper at all. And then you have gestures, which are really important, and you can get your family member, your friend, just strike a pose for about 20 seconds, and you have to sketch it out as quickly as possible.
Okay.
So that eventually will lead into you just kind of letting your hand take over, and that's really important, I believe, in art, is to let your hand do most of the work. And then I kind of turn on my brain after I have this pose that my hand has sketched out, and I use my brain to focus it and clean it up.
Okay.
And, it's a finished product. But
that's great. Yeah, and like I said, when I asked it in the live stream, some of the other people said, I have the entire picture planned out before I even start.
Oh yeah, some artists are very much like that, and I respect that. I often wish I could do that, because then I don't have to spend hours fiddling with it, but everyone works differently.
Yeah, it was killing me in the live stream because, for those who haven't been in, she sketches out this really great Luna, or base Luna, and I'm like, oh, it's so cute, and then she'll click on the side and just starts erasing the whole thing. I'm like, no! Oh! But then she'll sketch another one, like, oh, this one's even better, and no, erasing again! Ah!
Yeah, it's a process. If there's anything wrong with it, I can't deal with it. It's actually, I have a tattoo of Redwall on my leg, and lots of people are always like, why didn't you draw it yourself? And I'm like, well, I didn't draw it myself because eventually I would notice something wrong with it, and I would be like, oh, I'm so much better drawing now, or I should have put the leg in this position, and why did I do that? But if it's someone else's art, I just appreciate it, and I don't nitpick it.
Excellent. That's an excellent point of view for it. Yeah, you are your own worst critic, I suppose.
Oh, very much so. Very much. And, my friends always yell at me. They're like, that looked great. What's wrong with you? And I'm like, oh, no, I can't. I have to do it again. So.
So, as an artist, and you said you like the challenge of drawing Luna because she seems to be the most challenging for you. What's the next challenge? Like working with a new medium or finding a new program that works? What challenge can you see for yourself as an artist in the next year?
Personally, for me, I am horrific at backgrounds and lighting, and that is something I've really been trying to work on. Okay. I've been going through, and you can see in my DeviantArt, the latest submissions, I've been really trying to focus on backgrounds and different lighting techniques. And
I think the Luna in the snow picture is really wonderful, and I've seen some people comment that it reminds them of the Narnia scenes.
Yes. Yeah, that one was definitely a challenge for me. I had one of my friends who is amazing at backgrounds and color. She pretty much held my hand throughout all of it. So I'm really happy with the outcome. Eventually, I hope to be able to do that without having my hand held, but we'll see. It's all very difficult for me. I'm trying my best because backgrounds are important, especially for graphic novels where you need a rich atmosphere to really bring the reader into the story. Right. And that is something that I've been trying to work on. So that's why a lot of my pieces now have backgrounds, whereas if you look later, not many of them do at all. So it's you get into these ruts when you're an artist. Well, perhaps not ruts. You get into these comfortable grooves, and you really have to push yourself to, focus. Like lots of people will just, I'm good at drawing this one thing, so that's all I'm going to draw. And I get like that too. It's really easy to draw Pinkie Pie a million times.
It's easy to do what you know you can do well, but doing that doesn't
makes you feel good.
Yeah, but it doesn't let you get better.
Yeah, exactly. I think, and that happens with new artists, is that they will learn to draw a single character, and you really just have to branch out.
Well, I think it's not just artists, but it is artists to be sure. But I think almost any profession or field, singing, teaching. I know a lot of teachers that are great at teaching one thing, and they've stop trying to learn anything else, and they're suffering for it, I think. But
Yeah.
yeah,
So,
what was the quote I heard? Still water becomes stagnant.
exactly. And that's one thing that I think every artist has to remind themselves when they get comfortable with something.
Yep.
And right now, I am kind of comfortable with ponies, and I love drawing ponies, and I will continue to draw ponies, but I really need to draw other things. I'll start drawing my Caterwall pages, and then I'll be like, wow, why do all my characters start to look like ponies? What is going on? So always just, push yourself and try things that you aren't good at, because you're going to get frustrated at first, but then when it finally clicks, you're going to be really, really excited about it. When I first started drawing ponies, I was terrible at ponies. I didn't understand how they worked. They were very stiff and very, amateur. And then I just kept trying, and now I'm personally fairly happy with my ponies. But if you look at my old stuff, they're not that great. So.
So let's see. We've talked about Caterwall and some of the mascots. Is there anything else you'd like to plug?
Not really. I'm doing this portrait series, which will hopefully turn into a pretty cool project, and some interaction with my fans of like selling merchandise of it, and also kind of doing backgrounds and stuff for people to just use for their computers and everything.
Right.
But I do encourage everyone to follow my Twitter. I do the free contests, and I'm always trying to help people out. I can't do too much free art because it's how I make my living, but
Yep.
I definitely will try to give as much as I can to the fandom without breaking the bank. So
I think you've given quite a bit as is, and that's wonderful. Thank you for it.
Yeah, I notice, especially with the pony fandom, is that, lots of artists, I do a lot of this fan art. It's free art. You get to see it. So everyone should just appreciate the artists and the fandom and the music makers and everyone who contributes. So that's kind of what keeps the fandom going.
Yep, absolutely. All right, well, this is a basic question that I ask, but in the show, is there one line or one scene that defines your bronyism? Your brony.
Ooh, that's a good one. I think now Applejack isn't my favorite character.
Okay.
But one of my favorite scenes is in the apple bucking season, whatever the official name for the episode is, when she falls asleep and her snores are little horse neighs, and I don't know, it's my favorite ever. I love it.
Okay.
So I do love Applejack. She's one of my favorites, but she's not my favorite. But I think she's a great character, and I don't think she gets enough love. I think lots of people view her as this, like, oh, she's really boring or she's really stuck up. And honestly, I think she's one of the strongest characters because she has a job that's on camera. I mean,
sure.
Rarity, really, you design clothes for a race that doesn't wear clothes. And, Pinky just doesn't seem to ever be doing anything. She's always just partying, and Rainbow Dash, when is she actually doing anything useful besides napping? I really like Applejack. I really think she's an important character.
I think she's
great.
The Burns to everybody else's Alan. She is this. I think she's the straight man of the show, and straight men don't get a lot of credit, but they're necessary. A good straight man can make the crazy ones seem that much more by comparison, and I think Applejack does a wonderful job of that.
Yeah, I think she's a great character. Right? She needs more love, in my opinion. But I guess technically my favorite character is Rainbow Dash, so, I can't talk too much.
Well, thank you so much for coming to chat with us today. I appreciate it.
No problem. No problem at all.
All right. Everybody, we've been talking with SophieCabra, Miss Spain Fisher, and check out Caterwall coming in next year, and probably quite a few conventions you'll be able to find her. If you want to start saving up now, she said that she may put up the Twilight for sale soon. And keep track of her on Twitter and DeviantArt. Everyone, thank you very much. This has been Into the Spotlight with OsakaJack. My guest has been SophieCabra. Thank you much, and we'll see you next time.